talking about the system view and configuration. So this is the topic for today. And yeah, actually, I was saying that we did half of this topic already when we discussed about deployment health topologies and health checks. What I was referring to just a few minutes back is the data management. You know, so data management, what I've seen in majority of the projects is it is not well managed. When I say not well managed is I've seen, maximum issues around the way the data is stored from the collectors, to some other place. It may be aggregator or it may be file server. So in this unit, we will discuss on the first part is licensing. So where can you apply the license? What is shared secret and all such good stuff. And then the next part of the second half talks about data management, right? So let's just dive into it. So two things you should be able to understand once we are done with this unit. One is the usage of admin console so that we are able to perform the basic functionalities. And second one is the system data. How can you manage the data that is there on the collector? Two things. So the first one is system view and configuration. So let's say you just got a new Guardium software on your company, on your
Okay.
infrastructure, and then you have to now configure the licenses and some secrets and all that. So where can you do that, right? So uh, we just discussed few minutes back that if you are an administrator, your job will be to deal with this function the most, which is setup.
Setup, yeah.
One is setup, a second one is manage. So these are the two areas which we as Guardian administrators will be dealing with maximum. Especially manage because we have to manage the whole infrastructure, right?
Mhm.
So then there are various options like system view. So this system view, it shows 8 to 9 reports which show very sensitive and critical information about your infrastructure. It may be database disk usage or hard disk usage or how many databases are reporting to a particular collector and all such things. Activity monitoring will show you the reports which are generated by different databases, different users, detailed reports. you know. Then you have data management. So data management is divided into four parts actually. One is data archive. So when I say, so if you just look up the meaning of archive, it's nothing but storing data somewhere safely, right? So similarly, in data management also, we are configuring archive process, which means collector is offloading data somewhere, so that we can refer it for later usage. So in fact, let me open my notepad. First one is archive. So they call it data archive.
Data archive, huh?
Yes. So you can just imagine this to be storing data somewhere so that we can, uh, protect it. We can refer it sometime later, maybe, 1 month or 2 months after.
Yeah.
Data export is the second one. And this is only there on the collectors. Data export, as you know, collector is sending data to the aggregators. So the job name inside the collector, which will send the data is data export. So this data export is also scheduled in the midnight hours when the collector is not busy. So it's around 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. So one is data archive, second is data export, third one is data import. So this job is only on aggregators. As the name implies, it is importing the data. So what happens is the collector, it will zip a particular a data set. So whatever data it has collected throughout the day or throughout 2 or 3 days, it will zip it into a file, and that zip file will be scheduled to run for this job called data export. You know, so There is a zip file that's created for exporting data, you know. And then on the other side, the aggregators, they have something called data import job. So the collectors will send that zip file and the aggregators will receive that file.
طيب 1 minute please.
Sure.
If we are data archive, it
Mhm.
will archive where?
It
If
will
we
archive
did
to, yeah, uh, it will archive to, it may be your storage server in your own company. So it may be any third party tool.
Hmm.
It may be a storage server or something. It depends on where you want to archive. The
I
purpose of
can
it,
I can
yeah,
identify I can select the path for archive.
you can select your own path here. You can select your own path and the server where it should go. So let's say in your company you have one storage server which is lying unused. There is no use at all. So you can use it for data archive.
طيب data classification from here also.
Not really. Data classification doesn't happen in archive because all it does is it will just zip the file or compress the data and just store it.
Yeah.
But I have seen less projects using data archive. Maximum projects have data export, data import, and finally data backup. In fact, I should say system backup. This is usually run on weekends. you know. Now there is a very important functionality of system backup. You know,
Yeah.
uh, and the usage is, let's say the central manager or a collector or aggregator is placed at a location where there are floods or natural calamities or earthquakes, you know, and there are
Yes.
high chances that these get destroyed completely. So what we do by system backup is we take a backup of everything that is there on that appliance, to a separate location. It may be outside the city or somewhere in another country, on a virtual machine, so that even if this collector or central manager, whichever appliance there is, even if that crashes completely, we still can have the same thing on another new device. That's the main role of system backup.
طيب this for type. What we can say for يعني title for them.
This one here, the job name you're
يعني
asking.
data archive, data export, data import, data backup. What is
Yeah,
the title for this
this one is called
subtitle?
system backup only. It is called system
System
backup.
backup. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can do it from central manager only.
No, it can be done. Let me think. Yeah, it's on central manager only. You're right. It's on the central manager only because eventually central manager will have, details about all the appliances.
Hmm.
So yeah. So
But what
these
is
things.
different here? Sorry
Mhm.
for interrupt. What is different here between data export import? Data export collectors and data import aggregator.
Right. So data export is there only on the collectors because collectors have to offload the data to some other device,
Hmm.
right? Whereas aggregators have to take the data from the collector.
Take the data. Yeah, yeah. خلاص
Yeah.
sure.
Collector exports data and this the same data goes to the aggregator through data import job, something like that. So it's like I'm giving you one file and you are taking it, so collector is giving that file to the aggregator and aggregator is receiving it. Only thing is you need to remember the job name. So one is data export and one is data import.
Okay.
So there are only four jobs present in the whole Guardium infrastructure: data archive, export, import, and system backup.
Yeah.
Now, when these are not scheduled properly, then there can be issues. So let's say you want to analyze the data which is very old, like 1 year old data. But if the Guardian administrator has not archived that data properly, uh, it will be difficult to find the file which has a very historical data, right? You will never be able to locate that file. So how will you do the investigation? So there comes the expertise of a good Guardian database administrator or good Guardian administrator. So a good and proficient Guardian administrator knows how to schedule all these jobs properly, appropriately, so that data is managed very well. So that was data management. Now, next one is module installation. Now, this is a huge area for administrators because let's say you are on Guardian version 10.0 right now, and you have to upgrade it to version 11.5.
Yes.
So what Guardian team has done is they have a website called Fix Central. If you just type in Google Fix Central, all you will
Yes.
see is only one website, and this Fix Central has all the you can say setup files, executable files, version upgrade files,
Mm-hmm.
all the patches and everything is here, right? So it is asking me to find a product. So I will say IBM Security Guardium, which is here. If I click on that, okay, it's saying which is your version that's installed. I will say, let's say 10, which is the platform. I'll say Linux. I'll say continue. Okay. Now, see, there are a couple of options that you can use to browse your fixes. So it is asking me, is the first option is browse for fixes. So it's saying, do you just want to explore what fixes are available? That is first option. Second option is APAR or SPR. So the way Guardium developer team works is, let's say you are working on version 10.0 and you have found a bug in the tool itself, you know, and you know that this is a bug in the tool, like the developers have forgotten about some feature, so if you want to fix that, you need to go by APAR or SPR. So
But
what
if
happens?
I go
Yeah.
to second option, ABAR
Hmm.
or SBR, there
Hmm.
is some, يعني, what is the procedure here? يعني how
Yeah,
can I finish this procedure, complete this
right.
procedure?
So let's say you're working on Guardium version 10 and you found an issue. Uh,
Mhm.
raise a case with IBM Guardium. Okay, IBM support is a page. So see what happens is you raise a case with Guardium team. You tell Guardium team that, hey, Guardium version 10 has a bug within the tool. So they take your screen share, they do investigation, they try everything out, but they also cannot fix that. Okay.
Yeah, they
So
will
once,
help me for that.
yeah, so they will try to help you fix the bug, but then if they are unable to do so, then they will raise this APAR, something that we saw earlier. This one, they will raise a case against their own team. They'll give a number to it, and after a few days, they will come back with a fix.
طيب,
And yeah,
1 minute, please.
sure.
Uh, I will take this setup from first. From how I can know there is bug on Guardium. يعني,
Yeah.
how can I check there is bug
Um,
or no? To, يعني, if I raise the problem, they will say, okay, what is the message or what you find? Please attach like this.
right. Right. So let's say you're working on Guardium team. You have started working on the Guardium tool. You
Mm.
open the GUI and you try to search for something called let's say system view. There are no results found. So you know that there is some functionality called system view, but Guardium tool, the GUI, is not giving you any results still. You know. So then what you do is raise a case. attach screenshot, attach all the evidences. Okay. So then Guardian team does a screen share with you. They do their investigation. They try out all the fixes, and even if that doesn't work, they raise an internal case for investigation. You know, so
Mhm.
they agree with you that, yes, there is a problem with your tool. You are trying to find system view, but there are no results found. So then they say, give us some time. We will come to you with a fix. Okay. So when you know that this has already happened, you need to select for APR, and then they'll give you a fixed number. For example, this one, you can type it here, and your fix is there on Fix Central. And then you can apply that fix, and then after that, when you try to search for system view, you will be able to see results.
Okay.
Okay, now this is not very often used because less people, realize that there are bugs. So
I think your laptop need charge.
yes, let me plug it in. I did plug it in, but I just did not connect the other side. That's why it is strained. You can, yeah, it's charging now. All right. Third one is individual fix ID. So this is a simple and straightforward thing. If you know that, if you know that ID, or if you know that file name that you want to apply to your infrastructure, just put it here and it will give you. Finally, if you think that you just need to, search by plain simple text, let's say a stab, or let's say, which are the other features, version, you can just type it here and Guardian will show you. But for now, we will just say browse for fixes. We just want to explore this fix center. So I selected browse for fixes. It will take some time. I think there are a huge number of fixes. Here it is. See, this is important to understand, because see, when we selected browse for fixes, it is giving us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 areas, 5 groups of setup files. So
Yeah.
one is ad hoc patch. So ad hoc patch means some patch are not applicable to all the Guardium setups. It may be applicable to only your environment. So I'll give an example. Um, let's say you want a logo of your company on your GUI. You
Mhm.
know, so that is applicable to only your company. Nobody else will use your logo on their Guardium system, right?
Yes.
So you can tell Guardium team, technical support team, that, see, can you give me a patch so that I can apply a logo? And then they put it here, this field. Second one is the biggest area. It says STAP, GIM, and CAS. So these are three different and big functionalities. STAP, you already know, that's a small agent, lightweight agent. All it does is port mirroring or packet duplication, right? GIM. GIM is Guardium Installation Manager. I think I talked a little bit about this one. So, like in Windows operating system, what happens is it keeps on giving you pop-ups asking you to update. It will say
Mhm.
there are updates. Do you want to install? Do you want to install?
Yeah.
So similar is GIM. In Guardium, if you want to uh, install updates, you have Guardium Installation Manager called GIM. And finally, the last one is CAS. So CAS is Configuration Auditing System, which we will discuss in depth maybe in the coming sessions.
Mhm.
Um, this CAS thing is crucial because database doesn't just have activities going on them. It also has some configuration files, right, on which the whole database server is dependent. For example, Oracle has tns.ora file, and in that there are so many IPs and which are referred to by database server. So
Sure.
if somebody changes something inside those configuration file, the whole database server can crash,
Mm.
right?
Crash or prevent.
Yeah, it can malfunction. It can start malfunctioning. Like, you'll see things going wrong in your database server,
Mm.
right? So, so Guardium team thought, why are we missing out this aspect? Why are we not monitoring configuration files also? And for therefore they came up with another agent called CAS. So I believe there is a slide on that. Let me try to search.
اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد.
Yeah, here it is. See, this is the configuration file. This is the CAS module, and this is the
Mhm.
collector. So these are two separate agents. One is STAP and another one is CAS. So STAP monitors the database file activities, but CAS, it monitors configuration files.
Mhm. A tab and K tab. What is different? I think you told
Yeah.
me before. K
Uh,
tab for what?
yes. So STAP also has KTAP and ATAP. So if you're using Windows operating system, no problem. You don't need these two at all. But if you're
Mhm.
using Linux operating system,
Mhm.
right? Linux has something called kernel,
Kernel, yeah. Mm.
and kernel is responsible for forwarding packets, you know, to KTAP. So if you're using Linux, you should have KTAP installed. Otherwise, no traffic will be received on the Guardium system.
Mhm.
ATAP. ATAP is application tab. So if you want to monitor the traffic at the application level, let's say, I think you asked the question also around this, that if let's say there is a bank and they are using some application to do their transactions, and if you want to monitor which user logged on to that application,
Mhm.
rather than the database activities, you use ATAP.
Yeah.
These are advanced concepts. uh, KTAP is still important. ATAP not much. STAP, of course, extremely important. And one thing to note is CAS and STAP, they are independent. So if one fine day, if STAP goes down, CAS would still be running, and vice versa. If CAS goes down, no problem. STAP is still functional. Okay,
Okay.
so these are the three agents. So if you want to upgrade or download any agent, then you have to come here, database agents. Okay, the next one here is also very, very important, is called database protection knowledge base subscript. The name may be very lengthy, but I'll tell you in a very simple words.
Mm.
See, Guardium has something called vulnerability assessment, you know, and vulnerability is nothing but a flaw in the database. So any open door in the database where hackers can come inside and take away the data, that is a vulnerability, right? And Guardium has a feature where it monitors vulnerability. It has the power to tell you that your database is vulnerable to hackers. So
Mm.
if you have purchased that module called vulnerability assessment, it is also important that you constantly download these things called DPS, database protection knowledge base subscript. So the team of developers at Guardium, they work with the best best database administrators, and they collect the best practices, like what should be ideal for a particular database. So they collect information from all the databases and put it into a DPS. So Guardium is aware what is good for a database and what is bad for a database through this patch called DPS.
Okay.
Any questions so far?
No.
All right. Then K tab we just discussed, and then if there is something miscellaneous, you can of course click others. So these things, there are a couple of portals you should remember. One is the passport advantage. So when you first purchase Guardium, they will navigate you to passport advantage, which has the ISO image file for Guardium. So all the huge Guardium downloads, like the setup files for Guardium and everything, is here. Second is
Mhm.
Fix Central, something that we just saw. Okay. Third one is support case. If you want to reach IBM technical support, you need to raise a case and then go to them.
Mhm.
So what they do is they take a screen share and they try to log into your CLI, and try to troubleshoot. Okay. Um.
Type. I have one question.
Yeah.
Uh, it is not on the same case, but uh,
Hmm.
is Guardium can control the access to database?
Hmm.
يعني
Okay.
as example,
Hmm.
if there is downtime, okay,
Hmm.
and we will tell all employees there is downtime,
Yeah.
but maybe some employees working from home they want to check something or do something from Guardium. Can I block any access to database for some time? Yeah, can I control database or no?
Uh, yes,
Access
I would say
يعني.
partly. There are two things you can control when you say controlling database from Guardium. There are two things you can do.
Mhm.
So one thing is masking that we discussed, I think yesterday,
Yes, yes, mask.
right?
No.
So I can mask the sensitive information so that DBS cannot see it. And second is terminating user
Mm.
quarantine
From Guardium.
from Guardium. Yes, we will make policies on Guardium which
Mhm.
will disconnect the user sessions completely.
Okay.
And this happens through SGate. There are two things you can do, but yeah, you are saying that if there's a downtime, if you want downtime, can we prevent user from accessing the database? I doubt if that is possible because Guardium has no feature which completely tells user that this database is down, you cannot access. You
Mhm.
know, it's because the database eventually is database administrators ownership,
Mhm.
right? So we can't control their things. You know, we can definitely tell, we can definitely control our own system, that is Guardium. If there is an outsourced user and if they are trying to access Guardium, let's say there's an auditor, we can tell them that see our Guardium is going through patching, so you won't be able to access.
Okay.
No. Okay. All right. So that was a brief about all these options, and there are three more. So one is unit utilization. know. So as the name implies, unit is nothing but appliance. It may be any appliance, collect aggregator, central manager, and utilization. So as administrator, we are supposed to know how much a particular appliance is utilized. Before, I mean, as soon as we start our shift, we should know how much it is utilized.
Mhm.
So is it 60%, 70%? And there are two aspects of utilizations also. One is the DB utilization, that is internal database, and one is the hard disk utilization. These are two separate things which administrators confuse very often. So when can database utilization be high? So the answer is when collector is getting too much traffic at that time, Guardium's internal database is very high, as far as usage is concerned. And when the hard
But
disk usage is, yeah, question.
yes, Before we complete to maintenance and report, data classification from data management I have to do or no?
No, data classification happens through policies.
Policies, not from.
Yeah. So
خلاص,
this is
okay.
just right. This is data management. It will just store data somewhere. Okay, nothing
Mm,
else.
okay, okay.
But your question is around classification. So classification involves marking data as public or private or restricted,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
So
Policies,
yeah,
policies.
correct. So in policies, we will enable an option called pattern matching. So what happens is when collector receives data of a particular pattern,
Mm,
we will say that if you receive, let's say the pattern something like 4 digit space 4 digit space 4 digit space 4 digit, then classify it as uh, sensitive because that's a credit card pattern.
mhm. Okay.
Yeah. We'll come to that in maybe upcoming sessions. I think there is a slide also on that.
Yes, because also I have to go to my
Mhm.
baby. I have to take from school. So we
Oh, okay.
can
You have to.
we can complete to next session, no problem.
Sure. You want to continue tomorrow as well? Maybe day after
Tomorrow,
tomorrow?
inshallah. Yeah, I will send you a message.
No problem.